I'm going to show you the mixing routines that changed my life. If you do all of these, your mixes will become easier and you will get a more consistent sounding result. Less waffle, let's get into them. Before starting any mixing session, it's crucial to know the direction of the track. Listen to similar tracks in the genre and understand the goals of the original mix. Having a clear direction saves time. The main objective to mixing is to enhance the balance and the movement of the track, ensuring all the production parts work together seamlessly. And the goal is to address any imperfections that are in the original mix. You need to address these imperfections to improve the cohesiveness of the whole track, resulting in a final polished product. Therefore, before diving straight into the mix, make sure you understand the track's direction and objectives. By listening to similar tracks for inspiration, this will set you on a path for an efficient and successful mix session. Number 2 is grab yourself a notepad because you need to make notes on every section of the mix as you listen through. There's no point in just diving in. You need to have some detailed notes so that you'll save time and you can just look at your notes and work out what needs changing and why from your first listen. Because on your first listen, you're going to hear all the imperfections because you're not going to be used to the track. By referring back to your notes, you're going to be able to fix all of those things before you can then have another fresh listen to work out if there's anything left. So most of the things I'm looking for are, what's the overall balance of the track like? Are the vocals on the demo too loud? Is there any noises that I could get rid of? Is there any sort of muddiness in the mix? Are there things that are coming in at the wrong time? Or are there things that are still there where they could actually be ducked out to put some more space into the mix? Is there a flow to the focus? These are all the things that I'm looking for. Get all these things sorted out and then I'll be able to just do some final adjustments because basically your notes will probably get you 80% of the way there. Number 3 is to prepare your mix environment. Before starting, make sure your workspace is clean and free from distractions. That means putting your phone on silence. The last thing you want to do is be distracted by your phone and social media. Next, I want to think about my speakers and my headphones. So the speakers, I want to be in the triangle. I want to be at the level of the tweeters so that I'm sitting in exactly the right spot so that I can hear these speakers correctly. If I'm on headphones, I want to make sure that all the cables are correct. I want to make sure they're comfortable, everything's working so that I'm not distracted again by fixing those halfway through the session. I wanted to be able to put them on and they work perfectly, the amp sounds good, and I'm ready to go. I want a stable situation for my speakers and my headphones. Number 4, to stop yourself going round and round in circles and losing your way within the mix, set yourself a deadline. Most of the time, I've found that when I have a deadline from a record label, then that's fantastic because it gives me a chance to get up to there and I work out within the last hour where I'm throwing things out the mix and it dials me in to finish the mix on time. Otherwise, there's always another tweak. This deadline could be a real or fake deadline. There is a law called Parkinson's Law which states that any time allotted, you will fill it with whatever work you're going to do. So by giving yourself a fake deadline, you know you're going to get it done in that time. Number 5, always use a blank mix template. Now, don't be scared of templates. People think they're not going to be any good because they think every track's going to be exactly the same. That's not what a template is. Let me show you this template, which is part of my deep dive mix course. If you want the deep dive mix course, it's currently on sale at 80% off. So go to streaky.com. If you want to learn how to mix, you need my deep dive course. Anyway, this is the template that's in the course. And what it does is it just means your signal flow is set up for you before you start every session. But the thing about a template is you start with it fresh like this. You then grow that template over time as you start changing your signal flow and start adding your own little touches. But in the deep dive course, I show you how to start off and how to use this and how I use it every day. Number 6, this is how you supercharge your system. So once you've got your template, how do you organize that so that it works really quickly for you and you're not trying to find things all the time throughout a million tracks on there? So I'm going to drag these stems in and all the colors are color coordinated for their instruments. These also color coordinate to the buses that they're routed to, which are on the left hand side, the colors here. And you can see that everything is labeled correctly so that you can find things really, really quickly and you're not hunting around. So as soon as you hear something and you've got an idea of how you want to change it, you can dig straight in quickly and change it and move on to the next thing. Number 7, clean up your tracks and consolidate your tracks. So I use a software called RX. This is an immensely good tool from iZotope for cleaning up any pops, clicks, hiss, hum, whatever you've got problems with. And also I use it all the time for sample rate conversion as well, because it's one of the best sounding. You can grab it on Splice, monthly deal I think, or you can just buy it straight from iZotope, but it is an essential. Grab it. Number 8 is a reference track. Now I always use somebody's reference track. It's either a demo mix that they've done, or a lot of the times if it's from a record label, it's the track that everyone's been listening to and then they want you to mix and get a better version of that. So it's very important to listen to reference tracks, because sometimes you don't want to steer too far away from them, because that's what everyone's used to, that's what they like, but they just want it improved. So I have a separate reference track in my session that is routed to the stereo output, so I can just flick between that and my mix all the time. So for example, on Logic, I can do Option S, and then you can see it just flicks between. So I can listen to the track and I can work out exactly where my mix is sitting compared to the demo mix that I've had previously. So number 9 is balance. This is where we start to think about bringing the track up so it sounds like the demo reference that you've got. Now, I always start, if it's a dance tune, with the kick as a kind of the first place to get a level, and then sort of bring things up from there to then match the demo. If it's a indie guitar thing, then I'll usually go with the snare. It's kind of finding that key element and then balancing the mix roughly so that it's similar to your reference mix that you've got, and it's a great starting point before you then get into the details and the things that you noted down. And finally, number 10 is the mixing mindset. It's very different to the production mindset, and it's very different to the mastering mindset. You need to be worrying about how the balance of the tracks are working, where the weaknesses of the track are, and where you're going to improve that. It's not about what the instruments are actually doing at that time. It is a little bit, but not to the point where you're writing stuff at that moment. And it's not to the point where you're worried about getting the level correct and doing what you were doing mastering. This is about getting the track to move, thinking about the focus points, and making sure the instruments are doing the right thing at the right time. So after all those 10 points, you're now ready to dive in and start mixing. If you want to know how to mix vocals, so they are, then watch this video that I did last week on the ideal vocal chain.